I can call the meeting to order. Can I get a motion on the minutes?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Financial update, Joe?
We've had no change since our August 11th board meeting. The reports are the same as of July 31st. Checks written today are in the amount of $56,239, of which $44,279 are FAD-related expenditures.
Any questions?
Particularly.
All right, moving on. Kevin, you want to talk a little bit about the award we're going to do?
Sure. Okay. So the award that we have coming up is for two projects. One in Somers, one in North Salem, SCF 901, NSEB 901. Somers project is directly in the FAD. The North Salem project is FAD connected. Both are within private residential communities within the municipality, and would involve catch basin inserts going in both locations. The project in North Salem is around Peach Lake. That community in Vales Grove has already reached out to Supervisor Lucas and myself, and are very enthusiastic about getting some work done and anything that can help their lake. So that's as low-lying fruit as we get when it comes to private property installations. So it seems that that project's going to be in the front end of the timeline. We may be able to even get that in this calendar year, because as it is catch basin inserts, there won't be a tremendous amount of work. Our biggest delays are always the installation agreements, I find. So we received 3 bids that came in. Unfortunately, several proposals came in after the required timeline for the proposals. The problem with FedEx brought a few in late. However, we did get the 3 that we at least were looking for. Pittengarrow and Dosch were the lowest bidder, lowest qualified bidder by a decent margin, I feel. The review committee had looked at all of the submittals and recommend Pittengarrow and Dosch as well. They overall, I feel, have been good. There were issues with timing unfortunately, right around the outbreak of the virus in late spring and early summer. But in working with Pittengarrow and Dosch, their Jason Pittengarrow specifically, we were able to iron them all out, and I feel they were extremely responsive to my edits and my requests. And once they got back on track, they did everything aggressively and pushed it forward. They have 5 projects in total right now, 3 of which are in that point where they're private. We're waiting for private installation agreements. So there's for lack of a better term, there's a bit of a lull for their contract work. I think they'd be able to take these projects on and hit the ground running quickly in relation to our stuff. So I'm comfortable moving forward with Pittengarrow and Dosch, and I recommend that the executive committee amends their professional service agreement.
So I can make that thing and read.
Anybody have any questions? All right, I believe we have a resolution or 2. Can I get a motion on, we do have 2, right? Can I get a motion on the North Salem project?
I move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't have it in front of me, but we do have 2 resolutions here, do we not?
Do we?
Yes.
I've only got 1.
We have 2. There's SCF 901 and which was for Somers, and the
Oh,
other was
yes.
Yeah.
But
yes.
we haven't been discussing Somers, have we?
Yeah, they were pretty much both together, I think, weren't they?
Okay.
Yeah, it's 1
They were on
solicitation, 2 projects.
solicitation.
Right. So can I get a motion on the resolution for the town of Somers?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Linda, I'm gonna apologize to you because I know what it's like to bounce around, and I bounced right over project update.
It's okay.
All right, so the first, we finally got onto the Metro North projects. We finally got onto the site to begin installation of the catch basin inserts. We started with the town of North Salem with MSNU 701 at the Croton Falls train station. The installation, I'd say, is about 90% complete after one day. No hiccups. They were in and out. I think now it's just a matter of some final tweaks and amendments to the inserts that went in. I was on site with them on Tuesday afternoon before it got far too hot for me to be standing outside. And I was very impressed with how quickly these go in. This is really my first time witnessing an installation. And I was really, really pleased with how quickly they addressed everything and went about it. The next one will be at BMU 701, which is the Woods Bridge train station commuter lot, which they will be telling me today, I believe, when they are going to schedule that. I certainly expect it to be next week or the week after. I think they're going to try to just jump on it and get it done. That'll be a half-day installation, and they'll finish off everything in North Salem that same day. So before the end of the month of September, I would expect to have those credits in our bank from the DEC, and very happy with how it's progressed. And the next step is, while they were out there, the folks at Fabco did a lot of photographs, recording, and videos. They're going to compile all that information to share with us, so that every individual municipality can take a look at what was done at North Salem. But most importantly, I think that we can share that with the folks in Metro North so that they can see exactly how easy this can go in and what little disturbance we have to the flow of traffic, to the parking, as long as the basins are located in accessible areas, which for the most part, lots all are. That's been the holdup for them. They want to see how this goes, how an installation would work. I had invited them to North Salem, but unfortunately they were not responsive to the join us. But we have several other projects that we're going to be pushing forward within their lots. So I would like to get that to them and hopefully get a response soon. The next two that I'd be circling would be at Southeast train station and the Patterson train station. Because both of those together, I think both of those are a one-day installation. So we can get in and out of there pretty quickly.
And we also do Golden's Bridge, where that place is absolutely deserted at the moment.
Yeah, Peter, that's the frustrating part right now, is that all of these train stations are just about completely deserted. And this is the time for us to be getting in there and getting out very quickly. Unfortunately, Metro North just is not, they're not responding. I've reached out to several of them, and I'm just not getting a response at this point. So we'll just keep pushing ahead and doing everything with or without their approval. Of course, once we get to a point where we need an installation agreement and we need their approval, that's where we hit the roadblock. Unfortunately, in the case of Golden's Bridge, we need their approval. So we'll
At Golden's Bridge, what? I didn't hear.
At Golden's Bridge, we'll need to get their approval.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So I'll keep pushing ahead. If anybody has a contact at Metro North that they might be able to assist me getting to the right people and pushing this forward with them, I'd certainly would greatly appreciate it, and we can go from there.
Well, I can certainly call Mannix, but I won't claim any close relationship with him. Normally,
Even
we've
if it's
shouted at each other.
Even if it's a gentle nudge to point out that, we've been talking about these projects for years, and now's the time to just get them in before these lots are full again and are being utilized at 100% capacity. We can get in and out in a matter of hours in most cases. So hopefully they can see the light.
Which ones do you want me to push? Golden's Bridge, Patterson, Purdy's?
Brewster.
Brewster.
That's a full set, yeah.
All right.
The inspection at Kenton B 601 on Montrose Drive was yesterday with the contractor and the engineer. There were no major issues were there. The town of Kent was invited, but that was not responsive to the invite. So I don't know if they intend on going out themselves to provide any comments to us, but I'm going to give them notice that we completed our inspection and that any comments they may have are due back to us in, I think I'll probably give them 10 days. Then I'll provide them with the closeout punch list items that the contractor and engineer and I came up with. Make sure that everything gets addressed. No major issues while we're out there. All three of us were happy with the outcome of what's there. The biggest thing, not surprisingly, is just vegetation. This has been a very hot, dry summer, so we haven't really seen much for growth out there, and we got to see that. So Legacy Supply has agreed to come back out at the end of September, October, depending on how the weather is at that time, the end of the season, basically, to hydroseed everything, make sure that we've got growth, and we're set up well for the spring. And then, of course, if there still isn't vegetation come the early summer of next year, they are required still to come out again and make sure we get that vegetation growth, because they are, essentially they're on the hook for a year, make sure that stuff grows in. But other than that, there wasn't any major items. A few staples to be put in for the erosion matting to make sure that it's secure, but everyone otherwise was happy with the product. That's it for current projects. Of course, if anybody individually has questions about their projects, I'm happy to reach out to them and talk to you about them. In general, I'd say I've been getting a lot of interest from Westchester County MS4s, and I should say non-FAD MS4s, because we even had a few projects that have popped up in the town of Carmel that I think that we could be pursuing. So it just goes to say, we need to start again figuring out what, if anything, we're going to be able to do that's non-FAD. Offhand, there was 2 in Somers, 4 in Cortland. I identified a large area in just south of Lake Mahopac that I've been working with Rich Franzetti on to see whether or not we can execute items there. There's at least one that I know Michael Quinn and I were kicking around for the past few years at the town hall that I think we might be able to execute for the parking lot. So there's a lot of stuff that I feel has been kind of, my response has always been, it's on the back burner until we figure out what's going on with PDC for the moving forward with the program and any funding that might be made available to us, because we certainly can't pursue a lot of these projects that are popping up unless we have clear road for our budget, which at this point it still remains that connected, and then anything outside of that we do has to be very low financial obligation. So we still need to keep that in mind, but we are getting a lot of new projects that still are coming in on a monthly basis.
I know, it's a lot, it's a lot.
All right, well, Kevin, thank you for that update. Can we move on to the East of Hudson Watershed Corporation additional responsibilities?
What's the address of your house?
Isn't that you, Rick?
Is that me?
Yes.
I don't want to do it.
I mean, I'd be happy to talk about what I think we should be doing, but yeah, that's easy.
So I think this stems from the coalition meeting that we had and the discussion we had about moving forward. And frankly, I don't remember what it was. Chris?
Well, why don't I
Yeah.
address that to Richard?
According to our
The coalition meeting was to discuss expanding the scope of authority of the Watershed Corporation to encompass wastewater issues, either through septic programs where funds are provided to repair or replace them, or sewer projects. And in thinking about this call, it would seem to me that in each of the municipalities, there's a member of the corporation,
I don't
Uh,
understand.
the supervisor or highway superintendent would have some idea of what the needs are of each municipality. And I think it might be helpful to poll them and to ask them to provide a description of their needs. I'm wondering whether Putnam and Dutchess counties have done any kind of assessment on a countywide basis of those needs. The Westchester County Planning Department had done that many years back, which actually resulted in a lot of the underpinnings for the projects that have been taken, that have been put in place in Westchester County, including Peach Lake in North Salem, and the sewer projects in the town of Bedford. And there are other areas within within northern Westchester, which the county has designated as focus areas, including Newcastle and Yorktown and Somers. And it'd be helpful to know whether the planning departments of Dutchess and Putnam County have done anything like that. And if not, it might be helpful that one of the things that the corporation could do is to seek funding for that through the state. So those are my thoughts. And obviously, you know, I think that all of this can be beneficial to all of the members of the corporation. Because from what I understand, but just anecdotally, every one of the member municipalities of the corporation have some issues that they need to contend with.
Chris, remember that at the moment, the city, via devious means, is paying for us to do a septic / sewer engineering study of 3 lakes in Lewisboro, and and Carmel is doing how many?
4.
4. So you've got a significant amount of work which is likely to be completed pretty soon, which will have you have complete engineering studies.
No, not engineering studies, just planning studies. That's the intent of the RFPs. It's different. Engineering studies are different. They're just going to give recommendations on what can or cannot be done, Peter. Sorry, I cut you off.
Okay. All right.
I think that's very helpful, and it'd be nice to hear whether anything like that is underway in any of the other municipalities.
So at the coalition meeting, though, I thought we had asked our attorney to go back and take a look at this and make recommendations on what modifications needed to be made. Did we not?
We did.
Yeah.
And that's now, my memory's coming back. It was a late night last night.
I just wanted to give this sort of broad context of it, but, you know, I had felt that there's no harm in expanding the authority. I don't see any downside in that. And when we had the coalition meeting, it didn't seem that there was any downside in that, which is why we had asked our attorneys to see if they could do in the simplest way possible any text changes that are needed in the operative documents of the corporation.
Chris, can I ask you a question? You talked about talking to highway superintendents about sewer issues. Was that, did I take that correctly?
Well,
Right.
I don't know who in each town has the, I think each town makes their own determination as to who's who's knowledgeable and who can provide information on it.
But for sewer designs and for sewering, I mean,
Well, whoever handles public works, I happen to have a Department of Public Works. A lot of the public works in some towns are done through their highway departments, depending upon, what needs to be done for culverts and infiltration, ways of dealing with stormwater runoff and so forth. And so whoever you think would be appropriate.
okay. It's stormwater and sewer and water are three different things, right? So they're
They
three
are,
different-
and it could be, a plant, your planning department that has it. It really depends how it's organized within each municipality.
So let's get our attorney involved in this and see what
Yeah.
we need to do to expand the authority.
And then
So,
what's our next step with regards to maybe talking to folks at the DEC or seeing where, because a lot of this is all predicated on funding, right?
Well, yeah, but I think it's a chicken and the egg. I think that to ask for funding, if I'm the DEC, if I'm
No,
the,
I'm not talking about asking for funding. I'm talking about, talking to maybe Tom, a couple of the other folks, and saying, what areas do you see us, expanding into? Obviously sewers is one of them, but what else? I mean, Tom's job is he basically is kind of owns the watershed. Tom Snow. I don't know what they call him, program manager, whatever it is.
Listen, how about this? We invite Tom Snow to the next executive board meeting and have that conversation with him.
Yeah, that'd be great too.
All right, I'll reach out to Tom and extend the invite.
and then meanwhile, can we hear from our attorneys?
I'm here. Sorry I'm late, guys. For some reason, I had the time wrong on my calendar. So we did review this. We have, the language in the certificate, I think, could be expanded with a couple of simple paragraph changes so that it makes it more clear that reducing the discharge of contaminants into and the levels of contaminants in the watershed of the New York City EOH watershed in order to achieve compliance with all related federal, state, and local laws, regulations, and permits applicable to municipalities, businesses and persons located in the New York City EOH watershed, and to protect the quality of the waters therein. And then an additional, similar change to the some of the implementing language to include more broadly protecting the water quality within those basins. So I think those changes could be made to the certificate of incorporation and make it possible then to have a broader set of purposes in your certificate. The procedures for adoption are to require a 2/3 approval by your board. So, I mean, the board as a whole would have to approve that. So we'll have to, we have to go through that process. But I think what we would do is, I guess, send this around for you guys to consider this language. And then if this works for you, we can prepare, a formal set of documents and resolutions for approval.
All right, good. I think that's
Next
a good
step.
path.
Okay.
That sounds good. One question, when you said 2/3, is that 2/3 of those present in voting
No,
or 2/3
2/3 of
of?
the members entitled to vote. It's the statutory language, pretty sure. Usually it's a simple majority, but this is a, this is a change to essentially your certificate of organization. So it requires a supermajority.
Okay,
Yeah, so we do need to, we're going to need to go through a process to make sure we have all appropriate approvals. So we can help you with that.
okay. So I guess then the next step is that you can send a memo to the executive
Right.
committee
That's right. I'll send that around.
with the proposed language.
Right.
And will that also include what you just mentioned about the process?
Yep.
Great.
right.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, thank you.
And you guys know this, Mike Meyer, just
the funding allocations that were provided from both Putnam and Westchester were specifically focused on stormwater retrofits. So if the corporation may be expanding to other things, but as these new elements are being contemplated, they would need to provide either some additional funding from those counties to accommodate that those other elements.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And it's good seeing you here, by the way.
That's good seeing you.
No, we're aware that the current funding is limited to stormwater, and we would have to seek out additional funding sources.
Good, thank you. And so going back to the report of council, can we have that in time for the next executive committee meeting?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is watershed planner. Kevin had vetted out a number of different individuals, and last week, it was last week, right? Or was it this week?
The beginning of this week, we spoke to another kid.
Warren
I previously interviewed them.
Yeah, Warren and I had an opportunity to meet the two candidates. It was a very good interview. I think we've got a really good selection here.
By the way, I was a little late for the first interview, but I did review. Linda has everything videotaped, so I did review the videotape of the entire thing.
Before you discuss candidates, would you like to go into an executive session to discuss the hiring of a particular person? If you're going to discuss candidate qualifications and,
If that's your recommendation, I don't see how it's executive session privilege, but.
Well, if you're going to discuss the qualifications of the particular candidates and the pros and cons of hiring a particular person, you might want to have that discussion in executive session. I don't know what you're contemplating today, so.
Well, I think we're contemplating talking about the two individuals and talking about the offer, and possibly reaching out to one of them and seeing if they are interested.
Right. Well, when you talk about funding and making an offer, I think that's fine, come out of executive session. I'm just saying if you're going to discuss qualifications, you might want to do that in executive session, that's all.
Well, how's everybody else feel about it?
That's fine.
Okay, it just means a lot of dancing around, that's all.
Well, I don't know what the extent of your discussion is going to be, so I leave it up to you.
I've got a feeling that this is going to be fairly cut and dried, and we're going to get a definitive recommendation from Rich.
All right.
No, actually, you're not, but.
God, you disappoint me, Rich.
All right, so listen,
we need to go into executive session if we're going to discuss individuals at any detail. I think it's only appropriate.
Okay, I propose.
Go into executive session. We need to keep Kevin in executive session because I think he's going to be key on this. So.
Should I just drop off, or I'm not sure exactly how you guys do that?
Well, I think the reason we go in, if I could just ask the question, the reason we're going in executive session so that this tape is not it can't be made public.
The board can allow someone to participate in executive session if it so chooses.
So there's no problem.
Hey, can I move that Mike Meyer and Millie McGraw be allowed to
yes,
stay in our executive session, and obviously Kevin?
Yes.
So Linda, you're going to need to stop recording and stop the tape.
Okay.